Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jennifer Jefferies, the present day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. Jen, you rest when it's all done. Oh my God, that was bred into me growing up. I have an incredibly strong work ethic. I come from a hardworking family. However, everything is never done. Everything is never done. And that drove me, or helped drive me, to burnout back in my 20s. And what I've learned is that nowadays, because of social media and all the technology and things that we have, it's even easier yet harder to be productive. So many people are so focused on producing, and they're doing, and forgetting to be. When we be, we keep our creativity. When we're just doing in production mode, we lose it. We're in that logical world. And so it's about finding that balance. I know that I can rest and enhance, nourish my creativity in life versus power on and burn out. That's what I'm talking about today. So when I was living with the mindset of that you rest when it's all done, I remember I'd swing from such epic productivity, insanely, like almost manically trying to achieve and getting the things done. I remember when I was in the pharmacy industry, it really showed up. It was the 1980s. It was the greatest good. It's like work kind of time. And I burned out in a big way. And I remember so many different little instances where it really went to a point of insanity that I was pushing myself so hard. And it cost everything. It cost my health in a really big way. However, it cost relationships. It cost my creativity. I was so locked in a logical brain that I was in this frustrating kind of swing. So it's like hyper work, doing. And I'd realize I was just burned out. And so instead of being able to be in a manageable, sustainable kind of way to get stuff done, it was like go, stop. And in the stop times, my brain was so wired, logically wired in doing, I couldn't settle to be. And I used alcohol to unplug, to be able to actually just let my brain settle. So I get that, the work ethic that I was raised in comes out of that post-war era. My family, you had to work really hard and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, kind of in the intro, there's, with all the technology for the way, as a small business, for me to be able to market and things through all the different mediums that are out there now, and especially with things like AI coming in now and the temptation to try to do it prettier, brighter, shinier, just like tap into everything that's available. It's so easy to get on that hamster wheel and just keep going like this, like super productive. I know the importance of keeping my creativity. And so that's my focus above everything nowadays. And so nowadays I'll ask myself things like, are my results reflecting my thoughts? And so it's an easy measure to work out what's going on. So you might be working really hard at exercising. You're flogging yourself at the gym. You're doing your running. You're doing your things. And yet it's not showing up in your health. The health's not changing the way you think it could. Or it might be that you're really focused on things like intermittent fasting and 16 and 8 and all these kind of big, hard disciplines. And yet you're not seeing the results. It might be in your work, your career. You might be like powering on, putting it all in the hours, and you're still not seeing it. Might be in your relationship. It doesn't matter what the area. It might be your bank account. That's the easiest one to measure. Whether it's discipline around saving or whatever it is. And so what happens is we can be so trapped in that, do it this way, it's always been done, stuff like that, that we miss the little 1% things, the little creative edges we can be bringing to life that can bring a different result. And so I learned this through Marianne Williamson. and I went and did a women's retreat for 5 days in Los Angeles a bunch of years ago, maybe at 7 years ago, something like that, 6 or 7 years ago. And I really understood from her about the power of the feminine. And I'm not calling it feminine girly. Feminine is that tapping into that creative energy. Feminine energy is creative. Masculine energy is that doing, logical, power on kind of energy. And I used to be the person who would only read business books and personal development books and things like that, because I'm so focused on growing myself. However, I was missing that creative edge, and I know the difference that it made to me. So if you're finding that you've got that never ending to-do list, and I get it, I always have a list of things to do around the house for improvements and that. In my business, I always have a list, and I talk about in my book and in my new book too, because my new book has actually got the condensed version of my old 7 Steps to Sanity in it. And part of the 7 Steps to Sanity, one of the points was the fact that, when it comes to-do lists and things, I do my 3 hardest things first. So I've already sat at my desk. I've been at my desk for an hour. It would have been easier and more fun to get into this. However, I've gone and gotten media releases out for my new book and done the more challenging things first. Because if I do those 2 or 3 hardest things first, the rest of it's easy. I want an easy day. So I tackle things like that first. And I talk about that in the book. So if you do get a copy of my Fuck the Stress book, you get a condensed version of my bestseller, The 7 Steps to Sanity, in the back, which is all about work-life balance in a busy world and how to keep your sanity along the way. So if you're doing the to-do lists, get that the to-do list is never ending. It just isn't. And I've talked at different times about how my to-do list is bits of colored paper, because that works for my brain. Because as I complete something, well, this piece of paper, I've actually put 4 chores, 4 things from today on it that are on it. But as I complete them, it's half done at the moment. I screw it up and I throw it away, and it's like, yes, I get a little dopamine hit. And the little wins along the way keep me motivated to keep going. So we've got a choice. We can have these never-ending to-do lists, and that keeps you locked in, like I was, for my whole growing up and until my 20s, the fact that you rest when the work's done, and I just wouldn't rest. I wouldn't rest. And so I was physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted the majority of the time, and paid the price for my burnout. However, there's been such a big bonus that's come out of it, because it's given me a career around helping to guide people so that they don't go doing repeating the same kind of patterns that I did. So what are a few simple steps, a few simple measures that we can focus on to stay in check? That's the best way to put it. To really break free of that thinking, because I really mindfully had to break free of that thinking.
Have you ever wondered how your life could have been different if you'd had access to this type of content at a younger age? Look, this is why I need your help. I'm working to build the #1 platform that gives real and easy to integrate healthy life hacks and mindset to help you get well and stay well. This show only grows by word of mouth and new subscribers. It would mean the world to me if you could click the subscribe button right now, leave a 5-star written review, or drop a comment below. Share this episode with a friend and I would be forever grateful. Now, let's get back to this week's episode.
So the first one for me is I ask myself, are my results reflecting what I'm thinking I'm doing? And if they're not, tweak, not logically, tweak creatively, normally. I'll see how else I can look at the same thing that I'm trying to power through. And it might be if you're exercising and you're just not getting results, it might be the fact that you're bloody burned out. Your adrenal glands need you to walk instead of run. It might be that simple. So have a look, get help, ask for help, do a podcast, book, whatever, but get help and guidance to look for that creative side, because sometimes it's a tiny, 1 step left field will absolutely bring a better result faster. So I have found anyway. Next one is to realize I have a note on my desk. I wrote this, I swear, this bit of paper, it's on a bit of blue tack. It's so faded. I wrote this, more than 20 years ago. It's a bit delicate, but it says, if you're looking at watching this on YouTube, urgent or important. It is faded. And yet I look at that every day. Doesn't matter what it is I have to do, or that's in my list of things to do of a day. I look at that and I ask myself, is this urgent or is it important? That's what helps me decide the 3 things that I do first of a day. I took so much pressure off myself when I understood there was a difference, because in my brain, I was just seeing everything as urgent, and it wasn't. And the other thing that the Aussie saying, and I talk about it in the book, are you playing for sheep stations? Will the world end if I don't get this done? No, it won't. Great. Guess what? I'll do my priorities for the day, and I'll look after myself in the process. And when I do things like that, when I get that pressure off me, I can be more productive. Because otherwise, what we find is that when you're going for 100%, 100%, 100%, 100% of nothing is nothing. So if you're going start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, versus being consistent at whatever it is, your health, your finances, your relationships, your work, whatever, 80% consistently will always bring a better result than 100%, because 100% is never 100%. Like, again, you rest when it's all done, Jen. It's never all done. Okay. We need to be gentle with ourselves, be gentle with our self-talk. Self-compassion is really important. We are human. Life's going to have challenges. As soon as we commit to anything, it's going to throw up challenges to us to see how badly we want to do it. And so bring it back to center. Keep it simple. Set your boundaries. Learn to say no. That was in the very first step to sanity in my original book. So it's in the back of this book as well. Fuck the stress. So you can check that out. And by the way, you can just check that out on my website. It's on Kindle, or those online e-readers. You can check it out on Amazon and any online bookstores. So it's available everywhere. And we're working on the audio book at the moment, but I think that's going to be the new year. So saying no is really important. Or if you choose to say yes to something, own it. Own it. It's like, yes, I'll do that, and own it, versus yes, resentfully, and then guilt trip yourself, because that just, negative emotions like guilt absolutely throw your body outside the alkaline corridor faster than any crack food or anything else you'll do. And so own whatever it is that you do. Schedule in your rest. We know that your adrenal glands need between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night. A big part of my new book, and an essential part in my last book, was very much around the importance of the different elements of rest and allowing hormones and things to be able to rebalance as they're meant to. And then think about, the language that you're using with yourself. And it's not just about compassion. It's about making self-care a priority. It's about using, what we think about, we bring about. And I've talked about that in past podcasts. But it's so often we'll say, I need to lose weight, versus I want to be strong, fit, and healthy, size 12, or whatever it is you want to be. And so when we're doing away from language, that keeps us trapped, versus going towards our goals that we're wanting to achieve. So think about, listen to yourself, hear yourself. And when you do hear yourself, if you're doing that, I'm going for a walk because I need to lose weight. Okay. It's almost like a double negative. Instead of doing that, do it that I'm going for a walk because I choose to be strong, fit, and healthy. Total different result, total different pleasure in the act of doing what you're doing. And, playing with our mind is such an important place to start. And so even me needing to reframe when that old thinking can still sneak in, when I've got a giant to-do list at the moment with, new book out. We're doing the Korean and Chinese versions. I'm in Korea in a couple of weeks' time. I've got my Taiwan study tour coming over for the year. I'm about to go into China and Mongolia and launch the book over there. I have a very full last quarter of the year, and yet my self-care is in my diary. And I talk about how to schedule things and how I can manage my busy timelines in my life. I talk all about that kind of stuff in the book. It's basically how I can manage my life to do all the fun things that I choose to do and still be incredibly productive. So, I have a lot on, and yet I make the priorities for self-care. Even it's simple. We go out and water the garden. I work from home when I'm not traveling. I'm going to plant I bought a new azalea bush so that we can see it outside the bedroom window. Like, I'm going to plant that today. Like, they're little things that'll take like 10, 15 minutes, and that will make the next few hours incredibly productive, because I'll be grounded. I've done something creative and caring and nurturing for our lives. That's the balance that we want to find, because I know that all or nothing mindset doesn't work. It does not create good health, physically, emotionally, mentally. It is not sustainable. And when we go into overwhelm, we end up looping, because we're in overwhelm, so we stop. When we're stopped, we go into overwhelm, and we're on this loop that does nothing to help us in any way. So it's time to break all the loops in our life. That's what my book is about, breaking the stress loop. Breaking that overwhelm loop is really important too. So shoot for 80%, look after yourself in the process. I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review, have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from so that you always catch the next episode. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.